Chapter 5, Section 2 is about direct variation. There are two parts to this lesson. By the end, you should be able to write an equation, create a table, and make a graph from a word problem, and also know that a linear function is proportional if the y-intercept is 0. All right, so your first two vocab words. Number 1 is direct variation, which is a linear relationship that is represented by the function y equals mx, and m cannot be 0. If you remember the last couple days, we talked about y equals mx plus b. Exact same thing. This makes a straight line. When you graph it, it is a linear function. This time, the b is always 0, so it's not included. Okay, so this is y equals mx. The constant of variation, they call it a k. All right, these direct variations are special versions of linear functions, and they change it to a k just to show you that it is this special version that always goes through 0, 0. Okay, so we're going to think of this k like the slope. It's in the exact same spot, y equals kx. This and this are the same thing. All right. Identifying a direct variation. They're going to give you an equation, and they're going to ask you, does this equation represent a direct variation? If so, find the constant of variation, which is your slope. Okay, so if it is a direct variation, find the slope. The way to figure out if it is a direct variation is to rearrange, solve everything for y, get y by itself, and it should look like this. All right, so we're going to start with what they give us. They give us 7y equals 2x, and if I'm trying to get y by itself, I'm going to divide by 7 on both sides, which leaves me with y equals 2 over 7x. That does look like a direct variation. We have y equals some number times x, so this is a yes. And our constant of variation is this 2/7 right there. That is our k. All right, let's check out the next one. The next one says 3y plus 4x equals 8, and we're trying to get the y by itself. So we're going to start by subtracting 4x's. So we'll have 3y is equal to negative 4x plus 8. Divide everything by 3. Okay, and we're left with y equals negative 4/3 x plus 8/3. Okay, this one, because of this, it is not a direct variation. It cannot have anything extra added or subtracted at the end. So this is a no, and you can't find a constant of variation because it's not a direct variation. All right, give this one a try on your own. This would be a great place to pause and just try. See if 4x plus 5y equals 0 is a direct variation, meaning would it look like this when you get y by itself? And if so, find out what your k is, your constant of variation. Pause it here, do that, come back and see if you get the same answer as me. Yes, this is a direct variation because it looks exactly like that. And my constant of variation is negative 4/5. So I'm going to say that k is equal to negative 4/5. All right. Are these direct variations, and what are their constant of variations? Okay, if you pause this one, give it a shot or try it in your notes. You will find out that just by dividing by 4 on both sides, this one is y equals 5/4 x, and our constant of variation is 5/4. Over here, this one is a no. 3y is equal to negative 2x plus 6 divided by 3. Because we have that extra 2 right here added on at the end, this makes it not a direct variation. All right, In real life situations, a direct variation is represented if one quantity increases and then the other one increases with it. So your x goes up and your y also goes up, or the other way around. If one goes down, the other one also goes down. And there has to be a constant ratio between the two quantities. So we're just going to say yes or no, whether we think these real life situations represent direct variations. Okay, the first one here says that the number of ounces of Doritos and the number of calories the Dorito contains. Okay, in my head, I'm thinking the more Doritos that I have, the more calories we're going to have. So they're both going up. So this yes would be a direct variation. Letter B, the time it takes to travel to Minneapolis and the speed at which you drive. Okay, if you think about it, the faster that we drive, the less time it's going to take. So those are actually going opposite directions, which means this one is not a direct variation. And letter C, the number of hours you work and the amount of your paycheck. If the number of hours you work goes up, the amount of your paycheck will also go up. So that one is also a yes. Okay, suppose y varies directly with x. They are telling you right here, this is a direct variation. They're already giving you that. You don't have to figure that out. Y is 35 when x is 5. What direct variation equation relates those two? Okay, let's start with that. That's all we want to know for now. Okay, so we know it has to look like y equals kx. They told us that y is 35 and x is 5. Okay, so we're going to fill those in. That's not our equation. Our equation has to look like this with only the k filled in. We have to have the constant of variation filled in. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide by 5 to get that k by itself. And we're going to figure out that our constant of variation is 7. So the equation that goes for this direct variation is y equals 7x. Okay, so that means I can plug in all my different situations, but I know that 7 is my constant, and this is the equation that's going to help me solve all of those. Okay, and that's what we need for the second part that I had crossed out in the beginning. What is the value of y if x is 9? Okay, so we're going to plug in a 9 for x, and then we'll find out that y is equal to 63 if x is 9. Okay, so these are two-part answers. You need both of these parts, the equation and the value given in an x value. Okay, suppose y varies directly with x. That already tells us we need this equation, or this function. Y is 10 when x is negative 2. So 10 equals k times negative 2. What direct variation equation relates x and y? Okay, so we're going to divide by this negative 2. And I know that negative 5 is my constant of variation. So my equation is y equals negative 5x. Okay, the part 1 right there. What is y when x is negative 15? Well, I'm going to plug in a negative 15 for my x. I find out that y is equal to a positive 75 when x is negative 15. Okay, last one for today. Suppose y varies directly with x. It tells us that we need this equation. And y is 40 when x is 8. What is the equation that relates them? We're going to divide by 8. And I find out that my constant of variation is 5. So my equation is y equals 5x. Sorry, that's supposed to be a 5. Okay, and then what is the value of y if x is 12? Well, 5 times 12 is 60. So if x is 12, our y is going to be 60. All right, that's the end of part 1. The part of your homework you should be able to do today is on page 302, numbers 9 through 20, and you can start your lesson quiz.